Hey, what's up, everybody? Adam Kitt here, Quality First Real Estate. You are joining our weekly amazing training that we do. I'm super excited this week because I get to be a student. Now, Noel and I have been partners for a long time. We've talked about our topic today, the consultative selling process, a bunch. He's coached me on it. I've given him my training background and all that, but I have never once been able to sit in a class and actually be a student while Noel actually teaches this topic. So I'm pretty excited about that. And with no further ado, I'll turn it over to Mr. Noel Fielding.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Well, welcome to Consultative Selling. My name is Noel Fielding. As my partner, Adam, I am taking off my jacket. It's going to happen. Told you. So the selling process for years and years and years, 50s, 60s, and 70s was always, even into the 80s, was always based on the close, right? You spent all your time. So you had the triangle, right? The sales pyramid is what I call it, okay? And you spent all your time, the majority of your time at the close. And people spoke and spoke and spoke and spoke about that. And yeah, that's where the saying always be closing came from. So we turned sales on its head, on its axis, and changed that. So the process actually is more about building trust, discovering what the client's needs and wants are, showing them the solution, building some urgency, and then ultimately the close becomes the make sense end of the process. And that sounds pretty neat and easy, but there are some really detailed steps. And what we want to do is take a little deeper dive into it. I'm going through this process kind of right now I'm looking at buying a car. And I'm recognizing, I'm a horrible client for them because I want to do it in a way that doesn't work for them. They want you in and spending your time with them because at the end of the day, you don't want to do that process over and over and over from dealer to dealer to dealer. You're spending tons of time doing it. I want to research my car. I want to send them an email. I don't want to come in. I want your best offer. And then if it's good enough, I'll come talk to you. They are not cooperative. They don't want this. Someone will cooperate with me. I'll get it my way. But this is really kind of what this process is. We want to spend more quality time with our client. So they go with us, right? This is a lead conversion technique. This is an effort to make things stick and you have that ultimate great relationship with your client, because it's not just about this transaction. It's really about the whole process of being your trusted real estate advisor for life, right? We're not real estate salespeople. We are trusted advisors and we're pros. And there's a reason they want to use us. And this process is going to help solidify that reason. So the first step of this process is trust. And I have really horrible penmanship, especially on the whiteboard. But so the trust is the place where we want to spend our time. And you're going to get, whether it's buyers or sellers, the process is not largely that different. Building trust. So in building trust, we want to start off right away with a credibility statement. So what is a credibility statement? What are the components of a credibility statement? I've kind of broken it into two things. I want it, and you know what? We're going to do an exercise. I'm going to give you guys homework. You're going to want to write up a credibility statement. And I tell you what, you're going to end up, it's going to be a paragraph. It's going to be huge. And you're going to go on and on and on about all kinds of things that give you and your company credibility. Ultimately, in the conversation, you're going to break it down into about a sentence. It's going to go pretty quick, okay? But a credibility statement should have two major components. Adding credibility to yourself. Why should client be doing business with you? Why choose you? There's 6,000 realtors in the greater Fresno market, 6,000 licensed agents. Not that many are actually doing business. And very, very few are actually doing a lot of business and actually know what they're doing. So it's important that you separate yourself from the rest. And most people will start out, they'll talk to a client, say it's a buyer, and they're like, well, what do you want? It's your bed and bath account, right? And that's it. And that's as far as you're diving into this relationship and you're trying to convert them. You haven't. They're not yours. They're not yours. So why should they do business with you as part of that? And then why your company? Why not company XYZ, right? So there should be something special about you and something special about your company that you can leverage. So that's the first part of this. This is what's going to make them want to do business with you, or at least stay for the next part of the conversation. And that's what this is all built to do. It's a funnel. We're trying to get these people to sit with us, stay with us, pay attention to us, and we want to earn their trust and earn their business, right? So think about those components of your credibility statement. Something about you and something about your client, your broker, your business, right? That model. So it's going to be something like this. Hey, thanks for coming in, Mr. Client. My name's Noel. I've been in the real estate industry for about 30 years. You know, I used to own mortgage companies. And so I'm really glad you came in. Here at Quality First, we take a lot of pride in making sure that we get you the right home in the right place at the best possible price. So that's my credibility statement. Now we're living. Here's what I want to do next. And then you're going to boil into an agenda statement. So think about your credibility statement. Who wants to participate? Adam?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm
All right. Throw it out.
A credibility statement.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm your prospect. I'm coming in. And yeah, you know what? Hi, my name's Noel. I saw your signs outside. Just thinking about selling my house.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, my name's Adam. I'm sure glad to meet you. I'm so glad you came in today. You know, we've been in this, we've just opened our brand new office here. We've got our new home showrooms. We have all the inventory in the world. And me and my partner have been doing business for over 40 years combined. And we're going to take really good care of you.
Great. Focused on the company first, so change it up a little bit. Focus on the company, the new office, the location, how that's going to benefit them as our new home showroom, and then finish it off with some stuff about us and his team. The team's great because that's another thing you can talk about. We can be two places at once when you're working with the team. So I can be showing another house and Adam can still show your house. Or like we did for one client, Adam was showing her house, or I was showing her house and you were showing her replacement property, which is a huge, huge benefit. So that's really great if you're part of the team. Then you need to think about an agenda statement, okay? So what's the goal of an agenda statement? The goal of your agenda statement is two things, really. You want to, put yourself in a position to take control of the conversation and keep it going the direction you want. If you don't take care of this and you don't do an agenda statement, they're going to come out and say, yeah, Adam, tell me about how much you guys charge for commission. Oh, now you're on the defense. You're responding to their questions. You haven't even built up any value yet, right? All they're thinking about is the number, right? Just like I was with the cars. I'm all about the number. They don't want to give me the number. This guy actually told me, you know what? The guy who gets the best number is the guy who's here in my office. Really? Really? Well, I want the best number now before I come into your office. Otherwise, I'm not going into your office at all. So you've got, and he hasn't taken any time to get me to invest, even online or on the phone. These things are things, if you get good at this, and you should, practice, rehearse, get this built up in your mind. This is your arsenal. This is how we take care of this, even on the phone, right? You're going to get phone leads, and you need to be able to do the same process. Yes.
So one of the things that we talk about on a regular basis is that we are not in a sales business. these car people, they have one goal in mind. People need to come into my shop and they need to look at my inventory, and I'm gonna wear them down and make them buy, right? Go in high, watch them buy, right? They have this process that's ingrained in there. We are not like that. We are in a relationship building business. And if we don't spend the time to build the relationships, it's not going to go anywhere.
This is it. This is the exact system. This is what separates the good from the bad. Okay. Because I've had great car guys that won my business by being transparent, investing in me, and working hard for my business. And I tell you what, I went back to them time and time again, right? That's certainly what we're after, right? Real estate advisors for life, right? I want your business, and I want your kids' business, and I want your cousin's business, and I want your auntie's and your grandma's business. I want everyone's business because I'm that guy, right? So your agenda statement is really designed about keeping a flow and control of that conversation and making it go that way. And this sets the expectation of the conversation. So, Mr. Client, so what I want to do now is really sit down and talk to you a little bit about what your goals are with selling your house. Well, I want to sell my house. I want to make as much money as possible. Really? Okay. There's a lot more. We have to understand that everybody has goals. There's a reason they're selling, what they want, why they want it. Some people say they want the most money possible. Some people want to sell as fast as possible. Most people are somewhere in between. But again, you're going to build this process up. So what I'm going to do is find out what you want, when you want it, how you want to go. Do you want open houses? Do you want people rummaging through your house all the time? Do you want to be present? Do you not want to be present?
Which leads us into phase two, right?
Which leads us into phase two, your discovery, right? So you're setting this conversation. This is your flow: trust, discovery, added value solution, urgency, and close. So your trust, you're spending the most time here. And honestly, discovery, you're going to spend a good amount of time. You have three basic components to your discovery. Absolutes, right? Let's say they're a buyer. Absolutes are 3-bed, 2-bath, right? Clovis High. Those are absolutes. Desires, okay? What do they want? Well, why is that important to you? And those are the questions the leading questions from an absolute. Why is 3 bedrooms important to you? Well, we've got 2 kids. We've got a boy and a girl, and we need obviously a master for us. Okay. Do you need 4 beds? Are you going to have, yeah, my wife's pregnant. We're going to have another kid. Are they going to share rooms, right? So now you're building the story. You're understanding why that's important, okay? And the core win is really the merging of the absolute and the desire, why they want it, what's really important to them. So as a seller, what might be an absolute? What do you think?
An absolute as a seller?
Yeah.
Oh, I've got to have X dollars.
Okay, right? So you need to know how to do that. Well, why is that important to you? See, that's your question. Why is that important? I have to have X dollars because I need to buy this and I want a lower payment, or I need this to happen, or I'm moving to the coast, or I'm retiring and I need to get as much money as I possibly can because I want to buy a condo and downsize like I just did, right? Because all my kids grew up and I don't need a big old place anymore. So there's a lot of reasons why people want what they want. What we're doing, if we say 3-2, okay, let me go do a search for you. We haven't built our relationship. We don't know why that's important, okay? And talk about some more desires. Let's say we're buying. You want a 3-2 in Clovis. What else do you see? What do you want? Well, I really want granite countertops, okay? I like high ceilings, right? So lots of clients want different. Well, why is that important to you? Oh, it just gives me a sense of space, and that's going to feel really good to me. Now we're talking about feelings, right? And that's where that core win is. That's the feelings that these things are going to get. And part of this process can also be using the use of word pictures. So, that sounds nice. What's that look like to you? Oh, well, I really like that dark granite. And now they're divulging these things to you, the secrets about the buy. What's going to, and it's tough right now, right? This is a process for all market conditions, whether there's low inventory or high inventory. It's really critical when there's high inventory because you need to narrow it down, right? When there's 100 houses out there for them to look at, how do you, as a trusted agent, how do you show them the right houses, right? Well, otherwise you're just throwing stuff at them. We've done this a lot of times in the past because we didn't follow necessarily this process, and they don't necessarily want to give it to you right away. You have to have good trust and a good control of conversation to make that flow, for them to want to divulge that to you, to go further down that relationship ladder with you is what we're trying to do. So when they divulge that to you, and you got to be taking notes, and you're going to have an idea of what that perfect house is for them. Oh yeah, I really want a pool. Oh, really? Why? Tell me about that. Well, the kids after school, and we really want to do that. And I like to exercise. I swim laps, so that's important to me. Now we're understanding, well, how's that going to feel if you get to come home? Now you don't need a gym membership, right? Because you can come home and swim laps and stuff like that, right? You're painting a picture. What's that look like to you? I can just see it in the backyard, having the barbecue going, and the kids swimming in the pool, and my whole family gets to be together. They're your buddies now. You are a trusted advisor. He is telling you the secrets to his dream or her dream home. And that's what we're here to deliver as much as we possibly can. So pay attention. Yeah, man.
So I think it's really important for us to understand that while we're doing this deep dive into each one of these categories, keep this formula in mind, that without trust, you won't get proper discovery. Without proper discovery, you won't be able to formulate a plan and giving them that added value solution that we're going to talk about next, right? And without that plan and them being emotionally attached to that plan, you're not going to be able to set up a proper sense of urgency for them to make the obvious conclusion at the close, right? You can't do one without the other. It's not, you can't skip any steps here. So keep this as a formula in your head, one by one.
That's absolutely correct. And you can't rush it. Your next question after you get a want and you've gone through that process, your next question is, what else? Okay, what else is important to you? Well, I really want this. Oh, okay. Just go back through that process again. Why is that important? How does that look to you? How's that going to make you feel if we can do that? Wow, if you can keep me with 10 minutes within my work, and I'm on call and I have to respond quickly, right? These are client stories. Adam's smiling because he recognizes it. You understand them, and they're telling you the secrets that no other agent knows, but you do. And no one is going to be able to easily steal your business because they're not going to divulge the same stuff again. You've become their trusted agent. And we're going to, and when I first did this class years and years and years, I learned it from someone who was much better than me, Michael St. John. He is just a fantastic sales trainer, and Nate Brooks. But I turned this, I called it gears on a watch, right? A watch won't tell time. It might be right twice a day, but you can't tell time if any of the gears are missing teeth. It's always going to be a little bit wrong. So that's the importance of going through and recognize it. So you got to commit this to memory. You got to practice this. You got to learn it, and it should flow naturally 100% of the time. I think Barry had a client the other day, then he brought her in here, and I kind of felt him going through the process, and she seemed very satisfied, and you seem to really have a good understanding for what she wanted at that time. Spend your time here. Go through your absolute, what do you need? I need to sell my home as fast as possible. Wow, that sounds urgent. What's going on? Why is that important? I got a job transfer. I got to get my kids into school and the new place and da 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 da. Wow, how's that going to feel if we get that done? Right? We're talking about their feeling. It's going to feel really good. This is all stressful to me right now. I have a lot of anxiety about getting moved and getting my house set up and decorated on the other side and getting my kids enrolled in schools and just knowing how my life's going to be in a month or 6 weeks or 8 weeks, whenever it is that complete. So, when does it need to be? So the sooner, the better. I'm already planting seeds for urgency, right? They're telling us what we need to know. That's why we're taking notes, right? We can leverage this information. We used to do this in debt consolidation loans, right? They would say, well, if I can't get you $50,000 to pay off your bills and it's only 40, what does that do? And then we're building a sense of priorities. So loan officers out there, sense of priorities. Well, I have to pay off Discover. I hate them, right? Hate would be big capital letters on my notepad. So when I come back, if the appraisal would come back in short at that time, I'd be coming back to them and going, but at least we got that Discover card paid off, right? I knew their priorities. I took good notes. So we were at least able to get 4 bedrooms if not 5 on your new property. That's really awesome. And we still got a pool, even though we didn't get the jacuzzi too, because I know that was super important to you, right? You know this because you ask the questions and you take the notes. And that's why, and I tell you what, when that transaction's done, the next time that transaction comes around, whether it's buying or selling a place, they're coming back to you because you had all the answers. You paid attention to them. And that's what this process is really, really, really about. So remember, don't skip anything. Take good notes, be thorough, and go through this process, okay? Absolute desire, core win, okay? Your need, why that's important, how it makes you feel when you got it, word pictures when you can and when necessary to really get them in the moment of their buying their new property. And remember, whether it's seller or buyer, sellers are buying a replacement property, right? Unless they're deciding to go into a rental, which is probably not very often. Even that they have some hopes for, right? So you're building that, you know what their end game is going to be. Have you had a client recently that's given you an absolute? Bed count, bath count, location, price point. These are absolutes.
Well, yeah, those are, so yeah, the absolutes are usually the number of sleeping rooms. And then it kind of falls off from there, I would say. But, then you get to design open concept, big backyard, RV parking, and then, each of those components has a different level of importance for different people.
That's a great point. That goes back to the Discover card analogy, right? What's most important? Keep your sense of priorities, know what's number one. So a lot of times agents will say, have your list of 10 things that you want and cross off 7 of them. And we'll meet those 3. Because that's all you're trying to do is hit their absolutes, okay? You can hit their absolutes, but so long as you know why they're important to them and be able to reiterate that, I wasn't able, so I actually want to know as much as I can, but I want to prioritize them accordingly. So I've got these 10 things. What are your most important ones? The bed count it's a must. We've got the 2 kids. We're going to have 1 more. We got to have the space. They got to have a baby room, right? Okay. I need to have an office, right? And you need to know that and know why it's important and go back to it. So all part of the process. So you've gone through here and you've gone through it, and you should go through that system time after time after time, ultimately until you get to the point where I can't think of anything else. Adam, I think we've covered everything. Great. That's great. That's a good, healthy list. I feel like I really know what you're wanting to do and why you want to do it and what your priorities are and what's important to you. So let me tell you how I'm going to do this for you, right? Now you get to show off. Now you get to show off. Buyer, what's your buyer plan? Well, we got terrible inventory right now. What's your buyer plan? Well, we're going to do this. I'm going to search for you in our new home showroom and see what's going on. I'm going to check the resale inventory market. I'm going to look at the for sale by owner market and see if there's a good match for you. We have this great thing that we're doing. We're matching home sellers with buyers because we have such a big buyer pool right now. And we want to talk about our dream home buyer, right? What steps I'm going to go find the neighborhood you want. I'm going to find the homes in that neighborhood that meet your criteria. I'm going to send direct mail to them. I will even go knock on their doors. I have found buyers by using this process. People that weren't on the market yet, but they were willing to go. So Mr. Buyer or Mr. Seller, I've got a buyer that's they're looking in this neighborhood for a home just like yours. You drop this mail, and what did we get? We found about 50 houses for Josh and his family.
Yep.
When we did this.
Yep. And I got 2 calls.
2 calls, two listing appointments out of that. Wow. Now you've solved their problem, but you've also got a listing. This is outstanding. That's great stuff. And you're going to have the same process, this sales conversation with them to make sure that they list with you, and you're going to have a seller plan for them, right? How are we going to do this? And what's the sellers want? They want to sell fast. They want to get the most money possible. How are we going to do this? You need to be able to articulate what that plan is. It's not just a little marketing, especially right now, right? Homes are selling in days. Well, how do we make sure that we've done our best job, our due diligence for that seller, and also benefited our business as much as possible, right? You need to have a strategy, and we'll talk about that in later classes about your listings and how to maximize your listings for your clients and for you yourself as well. So you need to have your buyer plan, and these should be, hey guys, commit to memory. You should already know what this is. This is a secret sauce though. They don't know it, but it's going to fit their plan, and it's going to come and it's going to boil over into urgency. These start to, right? And you start to see this developing. There's more time here, lots of time here, little less time in the solution because you already know what it is. You're going to articulate it to them. So you again stay their trusted resource. Wow, Mick knows exactly what to do. This is great. He paid so much attention to me, and he knows exactly how to get me my goals. This is fantastic. Mr. and Mrs. Client, when's that going to happen for you? And this should also be why now buyer, right? These should be preloaded to you. Why is buying now important for you as a buyer? Adam?
Well, interest rates are really good right now. I know I can get money for real cheap.
Right. And house values are going up. So I want to get it today before it gets more expensive. Always today's situation is much better than what we don't know. Tomorrow's situation, interest rates, prices still go up, interest rates go up. and all of a sudden the same house is costing me $10,000 more, plus an extra percent, 0.5% on my deal. So it's costing me X more dollars per month over 30 years. It adds up to a boatload of money. So Mr. Buyer, this is why we need to move now. Does that make sense? Okay, does that make sense? Trial close, right? Now we're getting to this point. That's where we're getting to our evolution, right? That natural closing, what's going to happen. And this is what we're, why the seller needs to sell right now. Same thing. Interest rates are great. Buyers have more buying power than ever. Inventory is low. If we move now, we can get you multiple offers, and we can vet, and we're going to vet those people, and we're going to vet their lenders, and we're going to make sure that you get the best qualified buyer to buy your home with the most amount of money on your terms right away. So does that make sense, Mr. Seller? Yeah, it does. Okay, so now we're closing, and this gets real easy. Obtain your paperwork. Okay. Thank you. So obtain your paperwork, obtain your documentation. And so I'm starting off with stuff, simple stuff, like, do you have is it a trust? Well, we're going to need your trust paperwork. Is there a power of attorney? We need this, right? And when you get into your contract, change your language, right? This is an agreement. That's why it's called a listing agreement. This is paperwork. Avoid the terms contract, right? Those are scary. That has that dark cloud of the law hanging over it. And you really want to avoid that. What's the first thing they're asking you when you're talking about that? Yeah, if you've rushed into this and you haven't done that, they're talking about the commissions. They're talking about how long is the contract. So what's a couple of good answers to those? Because this is where we're getting into, those are objections, those are light objections, okay?
Well, I think let's go back to the close real quick, right? So one of the things we talk about when we get into a close, just some of the language we will use. So, Mr. Seller, if I'm able to accomplish A, B, C, and D as we laid out in our plan, and do it to get it, you reflect back to the core win, reflect back to their desires, reiterate all the things we talked about. If I'm able to do this and incorporate my plan and get it done, you're ready to go now, right? Right, and that's the language of us getting to that close. It shouldn't be, some super fancy thing. It should be the logical conclusion to the course of the conversation.
So, and what you did there, you put in kind of a trial close. Okay. I'm not really going to try and do a trial close at this point. The reality is I'm going to close. Okay. And it's going to work 99 times out of 100. Okay. Or you're going to pull an objection.
Right. The trial closes, it happens a lot during our conversations.
Yes.
We've asked those type of questions throughout the process.
Well, we're always going, does this make sense?
Right.
Does that make sense to you? Yeah, it does. Okay. And again, that wouldn't happen if we didn't take control of the conversation and set the expectations. This is the gears on the watch. This is why this thing's flowing down the way it does. And you keep it going. So you keep control. You ask those trial questions, trial closes along the way, make sure they're still with you and you're satisfying. Did I miss anything? Is there anything else, right? We're making sure, we're checking, we're making sure everything's still tight and we haven't left anything behind. If we do, when we get to this close, that's when you're more than likely going to miss if you haven't done those test questions, those trial closes, and made sure they're with you the whole time. If you've done that well, you're going to be loaded, and this is the make sense conclusion to this transaction. I always get them ready too. One of my favorite things to do is say, okay, so we've agreed that we need to go now. This is what and this is your plan, and this is what we're going to do. So what I really need you to do from this point forward is get a notepad. I want you to, as we go through the process of getting your home ready to sell or getting you ready to buy, I need you to make sure you're writing down any questions that happen to you, because they'll happen at night when you're in bed or you're sitting around watching TV and you're like, well, what about this? I need you to ask me those questions, and I want to make sure we get every one of them answered. Because what will happen, it gets conversational, right? We're talking about this and we have a nice long conversation, and then we forget about this, right? We don't want to do that. I want you, Mr. and Mrs. Client, to make sure that no stone is left unturned, that you are completely informed about everything. This is a great back credibility, right? This is the way we're going to do this. You can even put that in part of your credibility if you want. My point with the credibility being short and simple, because you want to get control of the conversation. If you linger too long there, you're going to set off the questions, they're going to start wanting to ask questions. By getting to the agenda statement, you get to go down here and readdress that. So make sure that you're not calling a contract, it's paperwork, and you can start them on this process. You can start, tomorrow I'm gonna come by. Is morning or afternoon better? Because I need to go through and do your disclosures with you, make sure we've walked the house and we understand all the facts about the property, and we've got the material facts. So is morning or afternoon better, right? That's a close. That's a close. We're leading into that and getting that paperwork done. This is part of that process. If you don't have any objections, you've done really, really good. But there's always going to be questions, maybe not objections. So there's that certain process of overcoming objections, and we're just going to touch on it. We've touched on it a few times in the past, right? The basic model of overcoming objections: cushion, respond, gain agreement, right? What's your first question about our closing process going to be, Adam? Mr. and Mr. Client, what do you think? We're ready to close. I'm getting you here. What kind of question is going to come out of your mouth at this time?
Oh, well, what are you going to charge me on the commission?
Great question. You know what?
You're going to get that all the time.
Yeah. Every client is concerned about commissions, right? The reality is the industry standard is 6%. Don't be afraid. Be honest. This is not something to be scared of. Okay. This is an opportunity. They should be really satisfied with this plan, right? You can see we've taken a lot of care and concern, Mr. and Mrs. Client, to get you to this point, and that we're not going to leave anything undone. That's why the industry standard is 6%, and that's what I charge too. Does that make sense? Cushion, right? You're reflecting back to them. You've heard their question, and you're reflecting it back to them. That's a cushion, right? You've shown that you're acknowledging them. You're not combative with them. You're not afraid of their question. You're not afraid of their concern. Respond, you tell them what you're doing and why you're doing it. Reflect back on your value proposition, okay? And close that. Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Perfect. Is there any other questions?
You got to do open houses?
That's a great question. Now, in this time of COVID, I've got a little bit different answer for this. In this time of COVID, we have certain processes we have to follow. So we're going to do our best in making open houses happen for you, but they're usually virtual open houses at this time. And I'll explain a little bit about that process to you. What we really want to do is make showings of your house convenient to clients. And we want to make sure that everyone sees your house in the best possible light. So after we get your place dolled up and get you guys out of the house for a day, we'll do a virtual open house with by appointments only, if that makes sense to you. Does that work?
Yep.
Okay. Cushion, respond, gain agreement. Every single time. You don't even, it's got to be second nature. The cushion has got to be second. If nothing else, the cushion, again, is showing them that you're paying attention, you're on the same page, you heard them, and also buys you a couple seconds to think if they did throw you a
The
curveball,
curveball.
right?
And a lot of times that cushion can be in the form of repeating their objection back to them. Right?
Yeah, that's a Chris Voss right there.
Yeah, right. Oh, so you're concerned about, people coming into your house?
So Chris Voss
right?
was an FBI negotiator,
Right, yeah.
the best. He is the best. And he does a master class on this, and he does exactly what Adam's suggesting. So they'll pose a question to him and he just repeats it back and stops. So open houses are important.
Well, yeah.
Boom. There he goes. He gave. He's going to tell me more about the open house, what his thoughts are on the open house, so I can respond accordingly in the best possible light, right? That's some next level stuff.
Yep.
You're not supposed to do that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But I can handle it. So this is Consultative Selling 101. I would invite anybody to come in. If you have some more questions about this process, come in, sit down, talk to us. Really, your homework ought to be writing a credibility and agenda statement. Okay? Write it down, rehearse it. I want to hear it. Call me with it, come into the office, tell me what it is, and let's see how it flows. And then we'll get there. And then I would probably practice the absolute desired core win. Remember what these mean, right? This is what they have to have. This is why it's important. And this is how that makes them feel. I can tell you in all sincerity, asking a client about their feelings is going to be probably your top challenge. I know it was mine. And I had to get myself into a system. I got to the point where I would say, well, Mrs. Client, this is going to sound odd, but it really is, it's going to help me. How is this going to make you feel if we can accomplish that? Well, Noel, that, it's going to feel great. We really want to have a baby's room. We don't want to put the baby in with the other kids. We want them to have their private space. And it's just really, really important to me. So finding that fourth bedroom is hugely important. I got it. You understand them closely. They've divulged their deep feelings to you, right? So, and now you're talking word picture. I can see it. Can you see it, Susan? You're going to have that fourth bedroom. Baby's going to cry at night, and you're going to be able to go in, turn on the nightlight, turn on the mobile, and rock that baby back to sleep without disturbing the rest of the kids. That's a pretty nice picture. I like it. She likes it too. I guarantee it.
Yep.
All right, guys.
Hey guys, so listen, at this point, any of our participants, if you have any questions, you can feel free to unmute and turn your video on if you'd like to, or just chime into the chat if you have any questions for us. This is the time.
Don't be shy. This is the time. Barry, any questions?
I have a question.
I have an answer.
What do you think of
No, not that question.
asking them if they've ever thought of selling the house by owner, selling it by themselves? To me, and that was a Mike Ferry, call it a trick or just a question that he had, but it kind of forces them to tell you maybe what their fears are about not having a realtor to help them. Have you ever done that?
I don't think I've ever honestly been preemptive about the for sale by owner question. But I wouldn't be afraid to necessarily ask that. I would probably incorporate it in a different way in my process here. I would be talking about that kind of preemptively overcoming an objection. So this is why, Susan, it's so important that I sell your home for you. right? There's a lot of people that go for sale by owner. And listen, in this market, you could do it and you'll sell your house. You'll sell it, I guarantee it. Someone will buy your house. But unfortunately, what happens for sale by owners is they are more than likely not going to do all the process. Remember what we talked about, your seller plan, right? And we're going to have mega open house, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that, and we're going to market, we're going to go here, 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 and here. And we're going to hold people off from your house. I'm going to keep them at bay. You're not going to be able to market and advertise and prepare your house and photograph your house and do all the things that I'm going to do for you and the way I'm going to do it. It's exhausting. It's a full-time job. That's what you're hiring me for. Most people don't have the ability to do their full-time job and then do another full-time job while they're taking care of their kids and their husband and all the things and getting their house ready to sell. So this is a big mistake for sale by owners, and they end up getting an offer and they accept it.
They get one offer.
They're going to get one offer and they're going to accept it because they're exhausted.
How do they handle multiple offers?
Well,
they have no idea.
And they don't know how to.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to vet the lenders, right? Are you going? Do you even know what that process looks like?
Do you even know how to qualify a buyer?
Right. So, and then the whole idea of holding back and making your marketing work for you and making sure they're getting the most offers and the most competitive offers, and then how I'm going to address the multiple counteroffer situation, right? They don't know how to do it. And the other thing is they probably legally don't have the paperwork and the experience to make sure that they're doing things and disclosing everything above board. There's a process, Mrs. Seller. So this is, if you've ever thought about it or you hear of a friend, I've got a great book on for sale by owner strategies. I'm happy to give that to you and tell you all of what you need to know. The fact of the matter is, doing open houses and showings constantly while you're full-time and you're cooking dinner and so on and so forth, what a miserable proposition that sounds to be. And I'm going to make you a lot more money by doing it my way than you would make on your own.
Well, that should be the bottom line.
More often than not, it is. But the hassles are a real thing.
Big reality. Yep.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, that about does it for us. If there's no other questions or comments.
You know how to get a hold of us,
Absolutely.
right? And you'll see our email links and all that stuff behind at the end of the video. We're good.
All right. Wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
See you.
All right.